and equally across the board decide on a set of rules that would describe a conflict of interest. We have several in this county now, and I'm not going to point them out to you in public meeting, but I can. I'm willing to say who these people are and what they're involved in, and in my opinion is a conflict of interest. Much greater than sitting on a voluntary committee that's just trying to do nothing but help our recreation department expand and move on. Whereas the other conflict of interest is it could be a financial disaster if they were dishonest people. So I'd like to see, so it saves future issues with this type of thing, that you guys get together and decide. The state's got guidelines, ACCG has got guidelines. And earlier in the day, I found both pages and I emailed them to every one of you. So you can look them over and you can decide how you want to go with this. I think it's something that needs to be addressed, not so much just in my case, but in future incidents down the road, to avoid you guys getting a conflict of interest and not knowing it and then getting stung pretty hard by somebody that you didn't expect. And that's why we have conflict of interest laws. So I would appreciate that, and if you can come to some sort of agreement or something on that between now and then, let me know. I could reapply if everybody's on agreement. But that's the only way I'll do it, is if you're all in agreement of some sort or another, what you're going to do with the conflict of interest, and the self-serving, some people that are self-serving, that are working through the county now, and I think you all know who they are, but I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pete Crockett.
I moved to Eatonton over 30 years ago, the day the tornado changed the dairy industry. At that time, the tax base was Georgia Power, Horton Homes, and the agricultural business. Property taxes were down on that list. Now, they're the #1 driver for taxes in this county. I've had issues with this board before. Saw the board ignore District 3 property tax owners when the Airbnb fight turned into an insult to those affected by the decisions. In fact, we have a new commissioner because of that whole incident. Today, I'd like to talk about the 5,000 square foot Publix on 44 that has had 37 acres of land cleared so that they can put the 50,000 acre building there. All of that land funnels into 2 creeks that headwater at the end of Lakeview Estates Drive. That creek on the other side is my property line to the cove. For 6 months now, that creek has been bright orange. All of that dirt has come down there because there's been no clearing. I've had the EPD out there. I've had the county out there. The county tells me that it's called turbidity. And because it's turbidity, that's something we have to deal with. We've had 6 months of turbidity. So my assumption is that the county commissioners just want me to pound sand. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, all of a sudden riprap shows up at those headwaters. There's a dam at the end of the cove, and there's a stop work order on the permit. Still a lot of people working, doing a lot of things. Apparently they're doing EPD things. But the property owners that live on that cove have got to deal with the fact that the turbidity has gone 3 to 4 max docks up. Those are big property owners, and a number of them live right here. They're not the ones that are out of state or out of county, and they're not voting for you. The more you mess with these people and do not follow or help them when they've got a problem with what's happening, it's going to come back and haunt you. Something should be done about that. I don't see anything. Who's responsible for having to dredge all of that turbidity that's been dropping for the last 6 months? Who's going to worry about the algae growth that's in that cove? Georgia Power doesn't seem to be concerned. You certainly don't seem to be concerned because the county can't seem to do anything, or they won't let the state do something. I don't know. All I can tell you is the frustration level with me right there at that main point and the homeowners behind me all would like to know what the heck's going on. Do you really need to do 37 acres for a 50,000 square foot building that doesn't even have a foundation yet? They don't even have the dams that they're, or the retention ponds that they're supposed to have built yet. Or they're built but not full. You tell me.
Thank you. Next is Don Sadler, and I think you wanted to be on this, I think.
Yes, sir.
You wrote something and I couldn't read it.
That was just what I was going to talk about. Every person sitting at this dais today, with the exception maybe of you, received an email from me this week that explained how the Jimmy Davis Park Partnership Advisory Committee was developed. The motion was developed by Adam, and the county manager was sitting right there with the chairman and these two commissioners right here. And you all voted unanimously for it to be that, and you allowed Commissioner Brown to make the motion because the chairman likes to do that for things or having things in their district. I think that's very nice. I think it's really very nice. But the problem we have is since then, February 9th of 2024, the county, at the direction or the lack of direction of the county manager and the county attorney and the absence of Lynn, allowed Janie Reed to come in and establish her own rules and regulations for that committee. Now, we all know now that the Code of Ordinances does not allow a 24-hour notice for a committee like that. But Adam told me, when I asked him why was she doing that, his comment to me was, because she can. But she couldn't, Adam, and you should have known that. So all of this time, between February 9th of 2024 to actually today, there's not one person up there, with the exception of one or two, that might understand how the Jimmy Davis Park Committee has been handled. It's been handled like a disaster. Okay? Now, Lynn, back from her illness, has agreed to accept responsibility for the fact that the minutes from August of 2024 to actually February of 2026 are all incorrect. They're using the wrong name. And she can't correct those records from what she tells me. So we have not only inaccurate records from the beginning of the committee to now. And we're not going to have it corrected until after the meeting, the first meeting in 2026. Okay? So, I think we just need to all to agree, grow up, put on your big boy pants, and realize that y'all have allowed a lot of things in violation of your contract, your job description, and I'm working on yours to see if you have any obligation to defend that. Okay?
Thank you. Okay. The next one that's signed up is for 19, so that's not under public comments. So this will conclude the public comments. And moving to item number 13, this is the consent agenda. Today, the consent agenda consists of approval of minutes for August 1st, the 2025 regular meeting, and B, approval of minutes August 1st, 2025, the budget work session. Is there, if there's no objections or anything, I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for an electronic vote. This is approval of the consent agenda. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. The consent agenda is approved. Next is item 14, request for approval of bailiff and juror compensation increase. This request comes from the Putnam County Grand Jury, and their recommendation is to increase the bailiff compensation from $50 to $75 per day, and to increase the juror compensation from $25 to $35 per day. It's been decided since the rates were changed, or it's been decades since these rates were changed. Trevor is here, and he has some comments. So, Trevor?
Well, finally, what y'all have all been waiting for tonight. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate what all you, each of you do. It's always odd, even 5 years later, to be on this side of the dais and not on that side. I think when I heard the letters SDS, I had a little PTSD moment over there, because I've been there, knee deep in it. But today I come before you today to bring to you the September 2024 grand jury's request for the governing authority of this county, which is this board, to increase the bailiff and juror compensation from its current rates. Georgia law requires that the September grand jury is responsible for setting these compensation rates, subject to an increase or I guess a decrease. That same Georgia Code section also requires this board to approve any request. The current bailiff compensation, civilian bailiffs, is $50 a day. That's been in effect since 9/18 of 2000, so 24 years ago. To put that into perspective, I was about 9 years old. The juror pay is at a rate of $25 per day, and that's been in effect since September of 1985. To put that into perspective, I was not even born yet. So juror pay has not been increased in 39 years. Bailiff pay has not been increased in the past 24 years. And I spent a few hours researching about 50 years of grand jury minutes to get you that data, because I knew if I was a commissioner, I'd want to know that information. Again, this is not necessarily the clerk's request. I'm the vehicle for the grand jury for you all to formalize this decision. If you recall, back in our budget meeting work session, we have already discussed this topic and it's been budgeted for, but today I'm looking for a formal decision by this board so that I can record that decision in our court minutes. Now, the last time this was requested was back in February, well, back in 2015. That board at the time voted to increase, well, that grand jury rather voted to increase juror pay and bailiff pay. It was brought before the commission in February of 2016. The board at that time denied that request. Since that time, there has been no other request from the grand jury until now. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield for any questions if there are any.
Well, let me call for a motion in a second, and then we'll have discussion. Do I hear a motion to approve the request for the bailiff compensation to go from $50 to $75 per day, and the juror compensation to go from $25 to $35?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Now we'll have discussion. Any discussion? Commissioner McElhaney.
You said it was denied in 2016?
It was.
Were you on the commission at the time?
2016, no, I had just got my driver's license. No, kidding.
No, I had to, Charles.
Other discussion? Yes, Commissioner Wood.
I just want to, I think this is a long time coming. It takes a lot of time. I think it was in the 80s, I got $25. And, you know, for somebody, especially an independent businessman like I was and still am, it's hard to leave your house for a day for $25. And now it's going to $35. It's still, I don't think it's sufficient, but if that's what they recommended, I'll support it.
Commissioner, I agree with you. I don't think anyone, 25 to 35 doesn't really change I guess, the hindrance it is on people that have a job, which most of them do. As the jury clerk of this county, I get to hear all of those complaints, and I explain their civic duty. I think it's a mere good gesture, way of thanks for the grand jury to have a $10 increase. It doesn't necessarily solve the issue, With respect to bailiffs, bailiffs are under the purview of the sheriff. I do, however, pay them. And we have 4 dedicated bailiffs who at times their hourly rate of pay may get down to $3 an hour, depending on how long our court day goes. So they're very much deserving of this increase.
Commissioner Garrett.
And Trevor, apologies if I asked you this when you were last up here, but I'm going to ask you. So 2 questions. So firstly, do you know whether we're behind the curve? Most other counties pay these rates or more?
I can get you specific data, but in my conversations with other clerks across the state, they're wide ranging. But I would say these requests are in line with the median average across the state. But I can get you specifically that data if you would want it.
Okay. And am I right that despite the low pay for bailiffs, we have a good bailiff coverage, or do we have a problem with bailiffs?
It is my opinion, again, I don't want to speak for the sheriff. The sheriff is over the bailiffs, their training, et cetera. Of course, I do pay them, and I work with them every day. I think we have 4 dedicated bailiffs. I think right now that's sufficient. That doesn't mean it will stay that way, depending on how court cases and things are scheduled in the future. I do feel like we have an adequate amount right now. The sheriff may feel differently. Again, these are civilian bailiffs. We also have deputies in the courtroom that assist. The civilian bailiffs are essentially the eyes and ears of those deputies to help them in the courtroom when they can't be everywhere.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, your second.
I just want to make a comment. Like I said, being here all my life, Tommy can probably remember it, but if I ain't mistaken, court was held, what is it, once a month, but I think a Superior Court was held once a month at one time. Now it's pretty much routine. Am I right in saying that?
Well, I'm not sure when it was ever once a month. That may be substantially predates me.
I mean, a long
yeah.
time ago, and
Sure,
then
and it may have been.
And I think it was just 2 judges at the time in the, what is it, Omogie? Omogie District. So I go back a long way,
Sure.
and I can remember that. And that was, it's just, everything has changed so
That is
over a
certainly-
period of time. And I support everything that you do, that you're coming up with, but that was a long time ago, and things have changed, and we got to change with them.
I agree, and just to circle that up, the Oklahoma Circuit has 5 Superior Court judges. They rotate 8 counties. We have 1 state court judge. That, of course, is just here in Putnam County, and we have 1 juvenile judge that rotates all 8 counties as well. So we have court usually on Monday, Tuesdays, and every other Thursday for state court. That's with the exception of trial weeks mixed in between there. So if you ever ride through town, we were just speaking about this, and you can't find a parking space, you'll know that the times have changed from when perhaps Superior Court was 1 day a month. That's correct.
Are we done?
Well,
Okay,
One
you
more.
go right ahead. You got your
to
second
compliment
time.
what you said, back in the early 80s, mid-80s maybe, when I got called for jury duty, I was glad to get that $24, $5, whatever it was, because I didn't have to sweat that day. See?
They are in the AC, I will say that.
Yeah, and so, and then when I started working for the state, you had to take a day off, and then you had to give them your check. So I lost that both ways. So to say that, yeah, definitely time for an increase.
Agreed.
Anything else? If not, we'll call for the question. And the motion on the floor is to increase the bailiff compensation from $50 to $75 a day and the jury compensation from $25 to $35 per day. Vote electronically. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. The request has been granted, and we'll write a letter to that effect. Moving along to item number 15, and I'm looking to see if anyone has signed in. Next person is on 16, so item number 16 is, I'm sorry, 15. Item number 15 is request for final plat subdivision approval for Cottage Grove at Lake Oconee. Someone from Planning and Development? Because I'm not familiar with this one.
You have the Grove, plat before you. It has been signed off. Well, it will be signed off. What happened is we had to make a couple of revisions to the final plat. So you have that plat before you, with the approval of, the entities that sit on the TRC committee with the recommendation for approval.
Can we get the, brought up? It was out of the packet. Okay, it's sitting over here.
Right, mm-hmm.
Are you gentlemen familiar with this Cottage Grove at Lake Oconee? Anybody? I haven't, I do not, I have not seen it. I'm asking for a motion. And we'll get it on the floor and we can talk about it.
It's a District 1.
Yeah, this didn't say that. District 1, okay, District 1.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Yeah.
Okay, now we have a motion and a second. We're up for discussion.
What?
And I did not realize it was in District 1.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
What is the final decision on roads for that?
Can you clarify what you mean?
Well, if I recall correctly, this is the subdivision that required a right-hand bypass.
Right.
Is that still part of the plat, and will that be installed? So the right-hand bypass will actually be in District 3, is that right?
Right, so remember, he came for a request to ask that condition be removed, and it was denied.
Yeah, so, I mean, the problem with the right-hand bypass, as I recall, was there is a utility there that would be an obstruction, or Piedmont had some kind of utility there. Has that issue been resolved? Maybe I can speak to the developer. I mean,
I got here late, so I didn't sign in, but I am the owner and developer. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a sewer line that had to be brought across the road, back on our side, down, and then back under.
so that issue has been resolved,
Yes, sir.
and a right-hand bypass or roundabout or whatever is, so we don't need a left-hand turn lane to, they'll just use the main part of the road for left-hand turns into the subdivision.
Yes, sir. And that right around road is what I've always called it. It was installed as requested. So,
Yeah, and in terms of southbound traffic, the southbound traffic will have a ingress and egress.
there's a decel lane. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
And how many houses did you finally end up with? 40?
41.
41,
Yes, sir.
okay.
That D-cell lane is in, I go by it every day.
Yeah,
And then where they took the sewer line up, going into the stone factory, that's done. They put that in.
okay, so.
Right here we are, that's.
Yeah, I mean, my question really just had to do with whether the traffic pattern business has been settled, so we're good with that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the question and request an electronic vote. What we're voting on is to approve the final plat of subdivision of Cottage Grove at Lake Oconee. And voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye, and the final plat is approved. Moving along to item 16. This is authorization for the chairman to sign a resolution calling for an election to impose a county special purpose local option sales tax, or SPLOST 10. And before we have someone signed in to speak to that, that's Barb Bargo. Barb?
Okay, I'm in question about, your county extension office, okay? It still seems like we want to build. Nobody wants to look at what we have. I believe the extension office, which also holds the 4-H, should be somewhere around the schools. I've been a 4-H advisor, and you have to have it somewhere where the kids can easily access it. So I believe, there's got to be some place around the school systems where we can rent. I'm really upset that we didn't get the school itself, because that would have worked out right for that and pickleball. But I think we got to really, really look at this, and I don't like what I'm seeing as to what we're trying to put on to SPLOST 10. I still think we are underestimating the jail, and I think I'm overestimating the extension thing. I still think there's got to be some place that we can purchase a lot cheaper than the $2.8 million right now. So kind of let's keep this in mind, that I just don't think this SPLOST 10 is quite right.
Thank you, Barb. And we are on SPLOST 10. Paul and Adam, will you have anything to say before we move forward?
No, sir, the resolution is ready.
And then I'll call for a motion and get a motion on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table this item until we can amend the IGA.
We have a motion on the floor to table to until we have an IGA.
Until we amend the IGA.
Amend the.
We have an IGA already.
Amend, right, it's with the city. Amend the IGA. Is there a second to that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion's not allowed at this point, and I'll call for a vote. And the motion is to table the authorization for the chairman to sign a resolution calling for an election to impose a county special proposed local option sales tax.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman. Why is there no debate on a tabling?
Mr. Attorney?
Again, I apologize for how we've acted previously, but Robert, this was brought to my attention at the last regular meeting, and former Chairman Tom Thompson came up and pointed out that under Robert's Rules of Order, a motion to table is not debatable. If there is a second, you're supposed to take a vote without discussion. We as a body have previously gotten away from that and had discussion regarding tabling prior to, but by the strict interpretation of Robert's Rules of Order, a motion to table is to be voted on without discussion. Whether you want to continue in that way is a different conversation, but the chair had asked me to make sure I understood and had these rules available to you because of the length of time our last meeting went. Obviously, you would have to suspend those rules if you wanted to allow discussion on a table.
Mr. Chairman, I request that we waive the rules and allow for at least a minimal debate on why the tabling is in order.
I think we have to vote on this first, and then.
The motion could be withdrawn.
Okay, and then if the motion is withdrawn and the second's withdrawn, then we can do another motion. Do you withdraw that motion to table it? We're trying to get another motion on the table.
The easiest way to handle this would be to vote the motion down, and then you can always vote again if you'd like to table.
I mean, we can have a second motion to table?
third, fourth, fifth. There's no limit to what we can do if we only believe.
If we want to discuss,
There's a limit to patience.
if you want a motion to
Well, let's
discuss.
vote on tabling the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table, and we'll call for the question. We don't have to call for the question. District 1, how do you vote?
Nay.
District 2?
Aye.
District,
Aye.
and I vote nay. So now then,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we suspend the rules.
okay, now you're going to make another motion, and that is you're moving.
I'm moving to suspend the rules. Now, we'll ask the county attorney, the parliamentarian, is that a debatable issue? Is that a debatable motion? I believe it is simply up to the chairman as to
The chair
whether
has
the
the
rules
authority.
are.
Yeah, the chair would have the authority to suspend the rules, or you could vote as a body. I would suggest, for purposes of what we're trying to do with respect to tabling in the future, another motion could be made, and within that motion, you could discuss the table. You don't have to actually move to table, and at any time, you could move the table once an item's before the body, but obviously, that's your preference as commissioners.
I'm
I
sorry,
have-
you lost me with what motion
So,
could be made that we would discuss the issue.
a motion to table can be made within a motion, if a motion is before the body. So if there's, say, for instance, a motion to approve the resolution, and then another party moves to table.
All right, so if I were to move to, prohibit the chairman from signing the resolution calling for an election to impose a county special purpose local option sales tax, SPOS number 10, and got a second for that motion, we could table the thing.
Correct.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, if,
Now do
I
we-
want to make
And
that,
now feel free to have discussion on the
Now-
motion.
Okay, so we have entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Eatonton that involved a list of projects for the county that were estimated cost-wise to the penny, which is ridiculous. No one can estimate how much it's going to cost to renovate the jail. Certainly not to the 9 million, et cetera, and 20 cents. Can anybody actually say how much it's going to cost for a particular project to include 12 cents or 88 cents? I mean, those numbers it's telling the public that we're not serious about this. The city's projects at least are rounded off to the nearest $1,000. And I think that that is a reasonable thing. And I'm sure that Jennifer or Linda or whoever can generate a list of costs, with an estimate of up to $1,000, in keeping with the same list of projects. The second thing, and perhaps the most important thing that I have with the IGA, is that it never contained anything for roads. The public votes on projects, not on the estimated costs of those projects. Those are sort of secondary considerations. If we don't have an item in there that is public works, roads and bridges, etc., the county cannot use sales tax money, at least SPOS money, to patch a pothole. They can't use it to replace a culvert. Some small amount of money has got to be put in there for a project titled Public Works, Roads, and Bridges. My recommendation or suggestion at this point is, okay, fire department is allocated $800,000 to build housing for firefighters. My house isn't worth $800,000 and can certainly house firefighters at a fire station. I say we can take $400,000 of that allocation for the firefighters' housing and put it into Public Works, Roads, and Bridges. That way we at least have something in there. Now, it is understandable that estimates are estimates, and we may overrun those estimates. Public Works, Roads, and Bridges in SPOS number 9 certainly overdid their $2.4 million budget. Last I saw, they spent at least $2.8 million on road repairs or whatever, replacing culverts, patching potholes, whatever it is that they had to do. So we can overspend on the item, but we cannot spend anything if the project is not there, if the project is not approved. So what I'm saying is we need to amend the IGA, okay, in order to have an amended, if you will, resolution to be published in the newspaper. Now, my understanding is that you only need, in an odd-numbered year, it would be a special election, and you only need 30 days of advertising prior to the actual election. So that we could easily have time to do this by the 1st of October or middle of September or whatever, to get the IGA amended and have that then the rounded off and including a Public Works roads allocation project agreed to by the city, and we don't have to change the city's allocations at all. I mean, they can stay. I'm sure that, again, Linda, Jennifer can work out a number that would leave the city's projects and the city allocation the same. I had previously recommended a much larger amount to go into Public Works roads at about 3.6 million. We decided instead to apply that to the fund balance in some form or another. But we need to have that project listed as a project. It doesn't really matter if you put $1 in there. My suggestion is let's be realistic. The other thing about it is, of course, that including a project called Roads and Bridges in the SPLOST will, in fact, increase the probability that the voters will approve it. I don't care what you say. Yeah, people want, some people want pickleball courts. Other people want some enhancement at Jimmy Davis Park. Other people want this. Other people want that. But everybody wants decent roads. Everybody wants decent roads. Okay? And if you don't put that in a sales tax referendum, I think you're just asking for trouble. So this is why I suggest that we table this issue until we can amend this IGA to round up the numbers, to make them look reasonable, and to include a Public Works, Roads and Bridges project with some dollar figure associated with it. Whether that's $1 million or 400,000 or $1, it really doesn't matter. As long as the project is approved, we can spend money under that project. So, Mr. Attorney, do I move to make a motion to table this?
We're having other discussion. Other people may have something to say. Mr. Attorney?
You can table inside of a motion, whether he should or shouldn't. That's a different question for the body,
Okay.
but.
Well, Commissioner Hersey has had a say. Other people may want to have a say. If they don't, we'll.
I think that would be appropriate.
So, Commissioner Garrett?
I agree. I do think we would be wise to maximize the chances of SPLOST 10 passing. It did fail last time for a different reason. But if I understand correctly, and simply adding a line item for roads, a notional dollar amount, not significantly impacting the other items, would give us the flexibility to spend money on roads where it made sense. I think we would be very wise to do that. And my other question is to Ms. Vargo's point, and hearing the discussion, insofar as we have this line item county extension office, we have a dollar amount associated with it, but it's by definition an estimate. Are we precluded from, if SPLOST 10 passes, are we precluded from deciding down the road that if a pre-existing building might be a good fit, we could rehabilitate it? We're free to do that. We're not committing to a new building simply based on those three words, correct? Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Garrett,
yes.
I was just going to say, whenever you have a SPLOST list, it's based on what the voters approve, and the courts allow there to be secondary sources like promotional materials, brochures related to what that includes. But generally speaking, terms are usually left broad enough to have some flexibility. But for example, jail renovation project, that's probably going to have to go to the jail renovation. But other terms, there may be more leeway. And to Commissioner Hersey's point earlier, it is 29 days for a special call election, which would, if it doesn't at the same time as a general election, which if it was, it would be 90 days. I do want to point out, however, in my experience, there are, in addition to the legal requirement, there are some logistic requirements now with the programming of election machines. So before I planted a flag that October 6th was your last day to get the election on for a November date, I would confirm with your Board of Elections to make sure there's not additional time necessary in order to get the voting machines uploaded and all that information. So not saying that you have to do it tonight. My point is that in my experience, sometimes it takes longer to actually get the voting apparatus together to conduct an election than the actual deadline under the law.
I have a question, and that is, if we table and we go back and rework this and put roads in it, does that mean we want to go back and take out the $600,000 a year for the 6 years? Because that's what Commissioner Hersey requested.
No, I requested that.
Somebody requested that.
That would be me.
And do we go back and take that back and just put it in here? Is that, I'm asking.
I'll do whatever y'all want at this point.
Mr. Chairman, if I might respond to that, the $3.6 million over 6 years is totally separate from actually having a project in here. I mean, that $3.6 million is for identified roads that each of the 4 commissioners will list for repair, repaving, whatever is necessary. What I'm talking about is money to patch potholes, money to replace a culvert that's washed out. I mean, these are things that, I mean, where else is Public Works going to get, where are they going to get?
We have money there now. We're doing culverts, we're patching roads daily.
So let me get this straight. You're asking.
But there is.
You're asking to put this back in, not for paving, But to replace
Not for
culverts.
paving. It's just to put in a project so that Public Works can access sales tax money to patch a pothole, to,
Because when you originally said, meetings ago, it was for paving. So now it's changed, right? Is that right?
yeah,
Okay.
we already have allocated $3.6 million for actual paving, all right? In addition to whatever T-Splosh number 3 or whatever does, okay? What I'm talking about is not paving, it's the ordinary course of business, and to have a project called Roads and Bridges for Public Works in the SPOS, so that people know, well, can I get a washed-out culvert replaced? Well,
Can now.
yeah, you can use,
That's kind of what we do now.
We do that now.
but under what in SPOS number 9, there is an allocation of $2.4 million for Public Works, Roads, and Bridges. That's not for paving. Okay?
Did we use any SPOS 9 money for paving?
Has Public Works ever paved a road?
Did we use SPOS
Yes,
9
sir.
money for
Too.
paving?
We've done the.
What road have they paved?
Oh, gosh. They
That-
did the entrance to the golf course, Hambone Holly, off the top of my head. How's that? They paved. We had,
And that cost $2.8 million?
no, sir. We
Well,
paved.
They
so-
were allocated in SPOS number 9, $2.4 million were budgeted to roads and bridges for Public Works, okay? They spent $2.8 million, and the bulk of that was spent in replacing culverts and patching potholes and doing other kinds of things.
So yes, they do that. They,
Yes, they
and
do. Yes,
they
they
do
do.
culverts, but out of the road supply budget sometimes, out of the SPOS 9 budget sometimes, when there
but
was
we-
a shortage of
we have-
pipe. Several
we-
years
we-
ago, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that
In fiscal
stuff.
'26, how much is the road supplies budget?
Did we use any
All of that's
SPOS
been
9 money?
moved into T-Splosh.
Did we use any SPOS 9 money to pave roads?
Back in the day, yes. In the beginning of this thing, we did. We paved, and we probably paid somebody to do it. And I want to say we used it for our LMIG projects because the LMIG number was, say, 600,000. The board brought up a group of projects and it probably about $1 million, and that's what we used to supplement the shortfall. So yes, it was used. We didn't pave it at the time, but we used it to have a contractor pave it. So I mean, yeah, you're asking real specific questions.
Your opinion is that, we don't need any project called Public Works, Roads and Bridges in the SPOS.
Well, I would say the T-Splosh number 3 would be the next opportunity to pave roads in a
Why
grand scale.
kick this can down the road?
But we're not, we've already allocated 600,000 a year.
So
And that's money that's available now.
For specific roads.
It's available now.
For specific roads.
We don't have to wait.
You got your
For specific
elevator.
road, not to patch a pothole.
But-
You can't use that money to patch a pothole.
But just another perspective, and correct me if I'm
Where
wrong.
do we get the money to patch a pothole?
But are we simultaneously, if we're proposing to take 850,000 out of the general budget, use T-Splosh 3 or T-Splosh 2 to pay for public works personnel, isn't that taking more money away from the road budget than the 650 a year we're putting in? And therefore, I mean, to me, we do need to have money for road repairs in SPLOST 10. My understanding, though, is that if we can put it in there with a notional dollar amount, but it gives us the flexibility, if we need it, to spend more than that, other things being equal. I mean, that's my concern, is that we're moving things around in a couple of places and we're ending up actually worse off. And if we have nothing for roads in SPLOST 10, I don't see how that's a win for roads.
Okay, let's get the meeting back to order. Commissioner Hersey, were you going to make another motion I think you,
If our parliamentarian would allow, I would move that we table this issue until we can amend the intergovernmental agreement, which was my original motion.
and that's acceptable. And now we have a second. Do we have a second to that motion, the table?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second,
And
no
that's not
discussion, we
debatable.
vote.
I have a question. Not a debate. I have a question.
I'll allow.
Does agreeing to this in any way lock us in to having to put something in there if we find another solution?
As a point of information, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure I'm answering the question, but just to clarify where you are with respect to the other entity. The proposed list is subject to an IGA that you have with the city of Eatonton. In order to impose the SPLOST by the terms that you have in this SPLOST resolution, there must be an IGA in place. So in order to make a list of projects that is different than the one that has already been approved by the city and keep the same length of time for this proposed SPLOST, you would have to amend the IGA, and that would have to include the city of Eatonton amending the IGA as well. There are other routes that you could go, but in order to have a 6-year SPLOST allocation, it would have to, 6 years of SPLOST, you would have to have an IGA. And in order to have the proposed project list that you have, or at least the numbers close to it, you would also have to have an IGA. So I guess my point in saying is that if you want to make changes to your project list and keep the same terms, it would require the city of Eaton to also agree to amend that IGA.
So a table would mean you have to get it amended.
The table would just be tabling the action. You would have to take some positive action to amend the IGA or reconvene with the city. Technically, by the proposal, if you wanted to take it to completion and you wanted to change the list, the first thing to do would be to amend the terms of the IGA, adopt it, and present it to the city, and hope that they agree to the terms.
So we have a motion to table, so we can table it and then make that motion to amend.
Your motion to table would be to table the original motion that was made by Commissioner Hersey to prohibit your taking any action on tonight. If you take an additional motion thereafter, yes, you could move
That
forward.
is legal to take that additional motion.
You would be acting on the agenda item, correct? Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think the timing is the first week of September, not first week
Well,
of
we have
October.
to have a call meeting and do it from a call meeting. Okay, do everybody understand that we can table it and then come back and correct and saying what we have to
As
do?
long as we're whispering, I understand from Kim Rudolph that, and Ian will publish a special edition of the Messenger, of course, that sometime in the middle of September is adequate to have a resolution approved for, and we can have a called meeting anytime
what I just
in
said.
4 days. I mean, and my suggestion would be, let's see if we can't have a joint meeting with the city council once we get the IGA amended and get it all over with in one day.
Well, my statement was we can do this with a called meeting. That was, well, okay,
The first step is we all gotta agree.
that's correct.
Well, first of all, we're tabling, we're motioning, the motion is to table this until we amend the IGA. Well,
We got a motion on the table, so I can take a vote right now. We don't need to discuss anymore. District 1.
So start at the other end.
District 4, how do you vote? District,
Yes.
Against,
do you really think the jail can be estimated to
I will be happy to, can I finish? Please let me finish.
Commissioner
I will
Hersey,
be-
hold off.
I'll be happy to work to a compromise, but I won't give away the farm. Yay.
Okay, the yeas have it. The motion is tabled, and I will look to have a call meeting to put those together. Okay? We're moving along. Item 17. This is a discussion and possible action to end the moratorium to Putnam County Code of Ordinances, Chapter 18, Public Nuisance Dwellings, Buildings, or Structures. And let's see, I think 17, Bill Vargo wanted to speak on that.
Yeah, I'll be short and sweet. I don't really understand why this moratorium was put in place in the first place after learning through open records that was only about, I believe, 4 nuisance complaints made. So I don't think that mandated a moratorium on putting these on. So I'd like to see this moratorium taken off. But, my opinion, but you guys, I'm sure, will do the right thing.
Finished? Thank you. I think we need to get a motion on the floor before we start discussing. So Commissioner Hersey requested this, so would you like to put a motion on the floor, Commissioner Hersey?
Pretty simple. I'm sorry. Move to end the moratorium on the Putnam County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 18, Public Nuisance Dwellings, Buildings, or Structures, effective on approval.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
A motion and a second, and we're looking at possible action of removing the moratorium on Putnam County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 18, Public Nuisance Buildings, Dwellings, Buildings, or Structures. Steve, since you brought this up, it's your discussion.
You mean I can speak
You
again?
can speak now.
All right.
Or
Well, first of all, the moratorium, as Mr. Vargo has alluded to, does not accomplish the intent of the moratorium. The intent of the moratorium was to slow down the number of complaints. But the number of complaints on this particular portion of that ordinance, the nuisance building, are so small that it will not really affect the number of complaints issued on all the other things that people complain about, and that the Director of Planning and Development or Code Enforcement has to look into and investigate. It is my information, based on the departmental report, I think was April-June report, that the Planning and Development Department had to do 1,444 inspections. I mean, that's a lot of inspections to do in a couple of months. I mean, but what are those inspections? Well, they're for the STRs, they're for buildings going up, they're for, erosion abatement, they're, Lord knows. They received or issued 19 notices of violation. That is, that people were not complying with the ordinance, but issued 0 citations. That is, no one was actually, or I guess when they got a notice of violation, they corrected the issue or something like that. But they did issue 12 stop work orders during that period. How many of these none of these really had to do with nuisance buildings. I mean, this is the workload that is imposed on planning and development or code enforcement. The addition of the nuisance building ordinance and the fact that there are, do we have some pictures? Yeah, let's put up some pictures. To my knowledge, there are, well, that's one. this is, the nuisance building ordinance really applies to issues of abandonment where there is a safety or health issue involved. And it simply requests that the director or her designee investigate the issue or the facility. And again, this property has basically been abandoned for, I mean, people haven't lived there for, what, 10 years or more? You know, we're not talking about a lot of properties, but what we are talking about are properties that have serious issues with regard to the way they're constructed, the way they're maintained, the way they constitute a health or safety issue. We don't care. We're not responding to complaints about somebody not mowing their grass or not painting their house. I mean, you can tell from just a few example pictures that there are many structures around the county that really do present a health or safety issue and need to be, the owners need to correct the issue, or under our ordinance, the county can step in, correct the issue, either by doing a repair or doing a removal, and recover the cost of that through what amounts to a tax lien on the property. And the property would be sold at a tax auction with a minimum bid to recover the costs to the county. So it won't cost there will be a time delay, because all of these things have to go through a court process, and they have to go through a process allowing the owner to make the repairs or changes necessary. And then there is going to be a time delay before, when the county can step in and perform the repairs or changes. And then another time period before a tax lien can be levied, or recovered. So what we are doing is, through this ordinance, is taking a few examples of serious issues around the county and trying to get them remedied or rectified, and front-loading the costs of it if necessary, which we will then recover. So this ordinance, which to my knowledge, I think there's either 4 or perhaps 5 requests that have been issued to the Planning and Development Director to investigate, do not add to the 1,444 inspections that so to my way of thinking, the moratorium on this particular part of the ordinance is not accomplishing a relief of the workload for code enforcement. If we want to put a moratorium on that's going to really relieve the workload, let's put a moratorium on investigating STRs, or investigating other kinds of complaints. And I don't know what are the major kinds of complaints that come in for code enforcement to look at, but this particular ordinance just does not solve the issue. So I say let's end it. Let's go forward with rectifying some of these health and safety issues throughout the county, which it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at some of these places and say, yeah, let's take this one to state court and let Judge Gailey decide what needs to be done to rectify this particular issue.
My understanding of the 180-day moratorium was simply to allow us to get together and to look at Chapter 18 and the ordinances that existed and try to put ordinances that counted into effect and to revamp it. I did not understand it as a ordinance to relieve the workload. I thought we were going to have a call meeting, a work session, and the whole idea of the 180-day moratorium was to have a work session to try to work on this.
Correct you, but the moratorium is for 6 months.
Well, you can change that
Right.
date. It can end any time after we have our
Well,
meeting.
Let's end it today.
We haven't had a meeting. We haven't attacked Chapter 18 and the way it reads, and that was the whole
Are you
idea.
planning a called meeting to do that?
That's what I was asked to do. We were very busy.
I mean, this was approved, what, our last meeting, and when is the called meeting?
Well, we haven't said it yet because we're in budget seasons and we got meeting after meeting. We will call one though, I'll assure you. I don't want to get in the back and forth, but that was the purpose as I understood it. That
But
may not be right.
I don't understand how you're going to change it since it is basically a rewrite of state statute. I mean,
That was my understanding. We were going to look at rewriting.
well, you're going to rewrite the state statute?
I'm going to do what the board wants.
Mr. Attorney,
Well, y'all don't have the authority to rewrite state statutes, but the state statute sets the floor. You might be able to raise the floor up to some extent, and I think that is probably what the chairman's referring to, but I would echo what Commissioner Hersey is saying. Some of the provisions in that code section are dictated by state statute. So there's not as much play in this ordinance as there are in some of your others.
I just understood it was play in and we could look at that.
There is some play, and I believe that was the intention, but.
Mr. Chairman, if complaint volume is not the rationale for the moratorium, I'd like to hear what is the rationale for the moratorium.
Just to get together and go through the ordinance itself. Those that are state, you do that. If there's things that we can lift and change, then we would do that. I just think
But what has come to light since we voted on the ordinance in the first place?
we haven't had that meeting.
No, but since we voted on it, when we originally created and voted on this ordinance versus then voting for a moratorium, what changed about our assessment of the ordinance in that period?
Nothing has changed to my knowledge.
So why a moratorium?
The moratorium was so we could have a meeting. Commissioner McElhaney was
Yeah, so we approved this thing, and, you know, as I've read it and looked at it, I myself am not completely comfortable with how things are reported as a violation or how they're reported as a concern. You know, I don't like there's nothing that says that somebody can't get a petition together and run down the street and get however many we gotta have and then run to planning and zoning and say, I got everybody. If somebody is that concerned about a property, they need to come down here themselves and make the complaint individually. That's my concern, and that's why I support that. I think we're making it too easy for predatory land acquisitions maybe down the road and things like that when people don't have the means. And then I just think there's not enough protections in there, in my opinion, for the property owner. And I want to make sure we do that. And that was the whole point of us getting together to sit down to talk
Right.
about it and get something that everybody could live with.
Right.
Kind of what we're supposed to do, right?
Right, but
Okay.
having the standard be one person has to complain as opposed to, I think it's 5, that seems like a lower bar, not a higher bar.
No, I'm saying how they complain. Don't send an email. One person comes in with, I got 5 signatures saying they don't like it. Well, how do I know that I didn't get, I'll sign it just to get you out of my face. But I'm not really that concerned about it. I want to protect the property owner right now.
I mean, my assumption is that planning and zoning would look in a disinterested way on any complaint, and if it's judged to be without merit or motivated inappropriately, we would throw it out. It wouldn't guarantee.
Well,
I don't know.
no,
I'm just not sure what we're going to
No,
change that would be
if our
meaningful.
ordinances say it, we have to follow it.
Yeah,
So
but we
gotta
don't have
be-
to.
But
We
we
don't.
got to be very careful about how we word it. Right, Mr. Attorney?
Adam?
We have to be very careful how we word things.
Yes, I can definitively say that. We never really have a lack of words at our meetings. To your point, I will always tell you that you should not have an ordinance in place unless you're going to follow through with it. There is a wide range of discretion in this ordinance. And most jurisdictions treat this ordinance for the extreme cases that I think Commissioner Hersey has put in his mind. I will agree with you that most of the jurisdictions that use this ordinance, it varies from place to place, but I want to be specific that it does allow an opportunity for landowners to interact with the government and with their neighbors. So I do think there is some importance in making sure it works in a certain way. A lot of places that have these ordinances are usually cities where folks are on top of each other. But that doesn't mean that there aren't times where it could be necessary for a county to use it as well. Generally, the concept here of a moratorium, I will tell you, is you're not supposed to have those in place in order to stop. It's intended to make progress on an ordinance. So I think from this standpoint, Commissioner McElhaney's explanation of at least his reasoning would be one that Georgia law supports. If the reasoning was for the sole purpose of stopping enforcement, my suggestion to you would be to repeal the ordinance.
I have no problem with the ordinance. I have no problem enforcing it. But I think we need to talk about it.
It just seems to me that we can talk about it without having a moratorium. I mean, we did talk about it when it was originally approved. Somebody was supposed to read it and vote on it.
And at the time, I was good with it, but the more I look at it, I'm not.
Well,
So here we
then
are.
I would suggest that
Here we are.
put it on an agenda for a work session and let's
That's what
talk
we're
about
doing.
it.
What
But
we're
why
doing.
have,
Already doing
why
that.
have a moratorium? I mean, you wouldn't allow a moratorium, that I suggested just for the 3rd district. Why impose a moratorium on this particular ordinance on the 3rd district?
Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
Okay, we have the question called for. I think that requires a vote, correct? When the question's called for to shut down, I think you have to have a 2/3 vote.
What, could you read the motion, Mr. Chairman?
The motion was simply, was to table, and then we agreed to talk about it.
No, sir, the
Not-
motion,
not ta-
was,
no, I'm sorry, not to table.
was to end.
Was to end the moratorium, basically. That was the motion. And we had a second, and we've had discussion.
Yes, a call for the question would require a vote to then call the question. So if a motion has been made to call the question, and there is a second among the commissioners, you can vote on whether or not to end discussion and then vote on the motion.
We're voting to end discussion. Is there a second to end discussion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to end discussion. And I will have to start with 4, 2, 3.
No.
No, you're not done.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye. With discussion is ended. Now, I'll call for you can call for the question to vote on the motion.
Yes.
Okay, do we need to, at this point, we have to vote on that?
Mr. Chairman, the motion now before the body is to end the moratorium.
That's correct. We have a motion, a second, and we've had discussion.
You can use the
And we
digital
can use,
device.
they can vote electronically. This is to end the moratorium. Voting is complete, and the chairman votes nay, Commissioner McElhaney nay, Commissioner Garrett yea, Commissioner Hershey yea, and Commissioner Wooten nay. The motion fails. And so this will stand at 180 days, and it's still in play, and I will call.
Unless we decide to end it soon.
And we can end it sooner, and we can call a work session to do this, and I'll try to do that, but it won't be in the month of August. We have too much going on. When do you get back from vacation? Okay, we're going to move along to item number 18, and I'm going to put my glasses on and try to read it. First off, I believe I have 2 people signed up to speak. Bill Vargo, item, and I'm going to read number 18, and you can come forward. This is discussion and possible action to request that the county clerk increase the short-term rental application fee to $700 and to allocate $300 per application to the Special Service District. Bill Vargo.
I just have one concern about it. I think maybe raising the application fees, do you guys think that might run some of these STRs back into the underground short-term rental business, being they already have a clientele already built up for their property? So it'd be very easy for them to still rent their property out with no gain whatsoever in hotel motel tax. As you know, we've already lost how many since the first go-around we established this? I don't remember how many, we had 200, whatever it was, but we lost a substantial amount over the last year. And my opinion is they probably went underground because they didn't want to deal with these applications and so forth and so on. So my opinion, raising the fees to $700, I don't agree with that. I would say, let's make the fees whatever the cost is to produce them. $300, that's probably a lot closer. It may only cost $100. I don't know. You guys all know what it costs for these people to process the fees and so forth. So I think we'll be running people away, and these STRs will be going underground with their rentals. So you might be shooting yourself in the foot with this one. So that's all I got to say.
Thanks, Bill. Also, Aaron Olson has a comment. Aaron?
On the STRs, you got to figure something out. You put these mini hotels next to us, and you're not making any money off of it. The budget I saw, it was totally what comes in, goes out. Why are you doing it? What's the point? You got 47% of our expenses are recyclable collection, and Barbara's exactly right. You go into these centers and you've got tags from everywhere. You've got commercial businesses dumping all kinds of stuff. Think about how you can reduce that expense. Maybe an annual pass for property owners, something, but you're spending a lot of money on trash, and it's coming from neighboring counties, it's coming from STRs, it's coming from all over the place. And we're paying for it in the Special Service District.
Thank you. And that is all that is signed up to speak until we get to item 19. So now, Commissioner Hersey, I believe, do you want to put a motion on the floor? Okay, I will read the motion. Pursuant to the Putnam County Code of Ordinance, Section 22-124I, requests that the county clerk increase his short-term rental application fee to $700 and to require the county manager to allocate $300 per application to the Special Service District. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And the motion, I'll read again. Pursuant to the Putnam County Code of Ordinance, Section 22-124I, requests that the county clerk increase the short-term rental application fee to $700 and to require the county manager to allocate $300 per application to the Special Service District. Discussion, and Commissioner Hersey, this was yours, so you have the right to speak first.
Yeah. The Code of Ordinance, Section 22-124I, simply states that the county clerk will set the application fee, okay? Short-term rentals, I think everybody knows, generates a huge amount of money. I mean, and it generates it through basically two things for the county. One is through hotel motel tax, and the second is through registration fees. There are approximately 260 registered STRs in the county currently. I don't know how many will renew or won't renew for the next year, but we also know that there are numerous unregistered STRs operating in the county. But let's say that there's a total of 500. That's you know, as many non-registered as there are registered operating in the county. Altogether, they are generating hotel motel tax of about $1 million a year. That's only 8% of their gross revenues. If you have 500 STRs throughout the county, that means that each of those, on average, is generating $200,000 a year in gross revenues. Is increasing the registration fee really going to deter them? I don't think so. I mean, it's not even going to hurt the marginal ones. I mean, the other point about it is that the hotel motel tax goes into the general fund by law. It doesn't go into the special service district. It doesn't go into the unincorporated area, even though the unincorporated area contains 100% of the STRs. They're not allowed in the city, okay? The majority of them are on Lake Sinclair and Oconee. There's a few of them that are off lake, I assume. A few registered ones that are off lake. But it is the unincorporated area that is generating the hotel motel tax, and yet it's going into the general fund, which reduces the taxes for the city people. All right, so basically the unincorporated area is in that sense subsidizing the city residents. The other thing about it is that it's the special service district which is responsible for code enforcement. I mean, all the expense of keeping up with the STRs is borne by the special service district. Fire department has to inspect ones that are registered, but they don't charge for the first inspection. Why not? They only charge if you have to have they have to have a re-inspection. If special service district is generating the revenues, they should be getting the revenues, to my way of thinking. So in an attempt to provide at least some additional income stream for the special service district, I made this motion to try to get at least a portion of the registration fees into the special service district. Now, maybe it's appropriate to put all of it into it, but for the fiscal 26 budget, I think the budget has provided for an increase in the registration fee to $400, and I don't want this motion necessarily to complicate the fiscal 26 budget. So what I'm saying is that of the registration fee, $400 is going to stay in the fiscal 26 budget, but I do want to provide some income stream for the special service district, and this will generate what Paul estimated, approximately $80,000 per year, which is marginally enough to have a code enforcement officer specifically dedicated to the STRs. But we're still running short of our expenditures for the STRs are still exceeding any revenues that the special service district gets from it. So having said that, and we have one more agenda item to go, so I'm going to quit.
Who seconded? Whoever seconded has the right to speak. That was
Just
Commissioner
some
Garrett.
clarifying questions. So this, what's the fee, application fee now?
It's $350 now, but we had proposed a 10% increase or to go to $400. $400 is the fee.
Okay. And is it only required of new STRs, or is it an annual application?
Annual application.
Okay, so this would impact everybody.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Wooten.
Yes, sir. I got to agree with Commissioner Hershey about, the money being spread out a little bit more, but going up this much, as what Mr. Vargo said, I know of one that they've been inspected, I would say, I know twice, maybe 3 times, and every time they claim to be kin to the people, and it's been verified. And that's what we're running into. These folks if we run them away from the application fees, that's what they're going to start doing. They're going to say, well, hey, when you rent this thing, just tell them you're my cousin. And I don't want to see that happen, and that will happen more and more, and then it probably happening more than we realize, as we say. Now, I don't know what we would need to increase to kind of spread the money out a little bit more, find out what it costs to do it, and then, if we wanted to allocate some to the special service district, the difference in whatever it is, let's just say $500, and then go from there. Maybe split it 50-50. But going up that much, and I know it's a lot of money being made on it, but it's gonna cause people to go illegal as they already are, and it's just hard to prove when you drive up and somebody says, well, this is my cousin's place, I'm renting it from him. So that's just the nature of the beast. Thank y'all.
You don't want to talk anymore? I think Commissioner, go ahead. Commissioner McElhaney.
Thank you, Commissioner, I appreciate that. I agree with you.
I'm going to get a bottle. No.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you, but I also agree with Mr. Vargo about the cost. So I would like to alter that motion to raise the cost to $500, and to Commissioner Wooten's point, split that 500, 250 to special service and 250 back.
Okay, we have an amended motion, if we can get a second.
Well, but,
Let's get a second
Yeah,
and
yeah.
discuss.
Second.
Okay, we have an amended motion and a second. The amended motion is to set the short-term rental application fee at $500 and to allocate half of that to the special service district. Okay, discussion. You made the motion, you have the first.
I think going up that much that quickly, to me, would probably do the same thing that was mentioned earlier. I don't have a problem ever getting to 700, but I think you do it gradually, okay? So that's why I make the motion I do, and you're only missing $50, Commissioner, in what you're asking for.
Commissioner Garrett,
That's a compromise.
you seconded it. You have anything?
No, I agree with that logic.
Other discussion?
well, all I can say is that the $400 allocation was in keeping with the fiscal '26 budget estimate, and so Jennifer or Linda or Paul will have to refigure those figures if your amended motion passes. But the other thing is we can offer an incentive for these places to register. Now, some of the reasons that they're not registering is because they cannot pass the fire inspection and don't want to. They don't want to go to the expense of complying with all of the regulations that we have in place. However, if we were to list our registered STRs with the Chamber of Commerce as preferable places in Putnam County to stay, we could probably increase our occupancy and therefore, their revenues. People are going to have illegal STRs. I mean, Greene County doesn't allow them, but they're there, okay? We know they're there. We know that people are advertising on Airbnb, VRBO, all you got to do is go to homes for rent in Putnam County, Georgia, and you'll find all kinds of things that are not registered. We don't know where they are because they don't list the addresses. Well, some of them do, but most of them do not list an actual address unless you book it. We are making an effort through planning and zoning and code enforcement to clamp down on these illegal ones.
To identify them.
I know there are you've got 2 of your signs there in Blue Heron Cove area, where those condos are illegally renting as short-term rentals. When we identify them, and we're depending upon neighbors informing neighbors, and I've offered, and I think all of the commissioners would join in offering, if you don't want to inform on your neighbor, call me, and I will inform on your neighbor. But I can, for the most part, keep you out of it. Anyway. I would just, Paul, is there an issue with having application fees And it's up to the clerk to set that application fee at 500 rather than 700. But is there a problem with the budget
No, sir, we'll figure it up.
of only having 250 instead of 400?
I'll make the numbers.
You'll
Work
be
to
a-
however you vote. And for the record, I recommended $1,000 when we started this way back 3-4 years ago, so we could have
And I-
eliminated all those
you know,
headaches.
That won't fly.
I mean, if on average some outfit is making $200,000 a year, I mean, sure they've got expenses that have to come out of, but a few $100s for a registration fee, that is not going to deter anybody. And I don't really think it's, if we provide an incentive such as giving the registration list for the chamber to advertise as places to stay in Putnam County if you're visiting, it'll possibly increase the number of registrations.
Okay, let's move along here. We have this motion. It's an altered motion, and it is for the clerk to increase short-term rentals to $500 and allocate $300 per application to the special service district.
250.
I'm sorry, $250. It is $500 and $250, and the $250 goes to the special service district.
So the motion is to amend the original motion.
That's correct.
And so we have to vote on the amendment
That amendment first,
and then
then the second,
the amended
then the
motion.
motion.
If we pass
We vote on the
amendment.
amended motion first. Okay?
Do we do
We're
that
ready to vote.
electronically?
It's your amended motion.
Aye.
Aye.
The amended motion passes. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. Now to the original motion, and do we have to do that since the amended motion passed?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. But you have now amended the motion. The motion, your vote a second ago was to make the motion that you now have before you.
I'm just making sure. I thought we had. Right. The motion now is, it has been amended to $500 and to allocate 250 application to the special service district. We now vote on that. We can vote on that electronically, I believe, correct?
We can?
You can.
Oh.
Okay, that's what she said. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote yea. We will instruct the county clerk and to amend or go up on the rental fee, short-term rental fee, to $500 and allocate 250 of that per application to the special service district. What's the effective date? Is that, the effective date will be October? October 1, I was thinking, was when things start.
Whenever the renewals are and the
It's-
budget.
Okay, we're going to move to 19, and I believe, we've been going a long time here. I believe that we have someone signed in. Charles Gray, we have you as signed in to speak on 19.
Thank you. It's my pleasure
let-
to address a group that is exhausted, slap happy, and can't wait to get home, just like me. That said, most of you know me, and you know that for the last 4 years I've attended something like 95% of all your meetings. I've seen you address zoning issues, developer issues, ordinance issues, and comprehensive plan issues. And now I'm part of the zoning commission, so I'm seeing it from staff's perspective too. Recently returned from the Georgia Association of Zoning Administrators, where I had the opportunity to listen to attorneys and administrators from all over the state of Georgia, counties, cities, all talking about the issues that they're seeing with their comprehensive plans and zoning and ordinance issues. One thing stuck out. across the board, Georgia is growing at an aggressive and increasingly aggressive rate. People are struggling to keep ordinances up. They're struggling to get the comprehensive plan in place, and they're struggling with infrastructure. They're struggling with planning. We heard from zoning law, advanced zoning topics, politics, power, planning, the list goes on. But the bottom line, and what we heard consistently, was you've got to keep your comprehensive plan updated. And it is a living document, and it's not designed to look at every 5 years. It's designed to look at the recommendations across the table was annually. Look at it, adjust the ordinances, see how you're growing, how your growth is happening. You're putting together a working group, which I think is great. I highly recommend that you include on your side of the table, sitting at the table with you, your professionals, someone from your planning and zoning department, hopefully someone from the planning and zoning commission, maybe a developer, maybe others. Your job is not to make these decisions. Your job is to get the best people in front of you that you can find to help you make the decisions. Keep things moving. Keep that comprehensive plan going all the time. The growth is coming. You're not going to stop it. It's how do you plan for the future for it? Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have one other signed up, and that's Barb Vargo. That is, I believe, the last person we have signed up.
Okay, I'm here because I thought we were gonna, this had to do with the work session that we were talking about, that Steve tried to put up here in regards to these comprehensive plannings, okay? It's just like we just got done talking about 3 gas stations on, Old Phoenix, around that area. And this is what we got to put in our minds. It's not just, planning and zoning. You got people that are asking for it. I mean, we've also had the situation where there's been a lot of people that have been asking to take their residential that is over so many acres and asked to put it back into farmland. And I got a feeling, she's come up with this great thing that says, if you don't do what you're saying you're going to do, we're going to switch it back. And I think that's a great idea, okay? Give them a year to plan, and if they don't do it, then we'd say, Hershey says it's illegal to do that. The lawyer says, yeah, you can. And I think we should make them stand up, developers stand up for what they want. If they say they're going to do something, make them stand up and do it. Not just leave the ground like it is and then just say, I've got this, wait until I sell this for, commercial property. And there's some of us that are got our property and would like, not just me, but I've been in here, I tried to help another lady out who wanted to turn her land back into farmland. Well, put it in there that you can't have hoofs on the ground or you can't have this. She said she wants it to plant flowers for her, because that's her business. Then make that part of the stipulation when you approve it. I think, we've got to look at what's going on. We're growing like crazy, but there's other people out there that are saying, I want my land back where it belongs. So, you've got all this to take into consideration in the development. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on item number 19. I will read that. If I can make my glasses work. It's discussion and possible action to schedule the development work session voted by the BOC on April the 4th. I can entertain a motion, and then we get a second and discuss it. Go ahead, Richard, it's your...
So moved.
Okay, so your motion is to schedule a development work session. Got a time? It needs to be at least in September or
Yeah, I know it can't be this month, but
after
I think key thing is just get it on the calendar. It's been 4 months now since we voted to schedule it, and I'm just conscious that we haven't, so it'd be nice to get it on the calendar.
Okay, we'll get it on the calendar, but I know it won't be until in September.
That's fine.
Okay, do we have a second to that? We have a motion and a second on the floor to get a development work session in progress, and I'm going to say hopefully in September, and probably be later.
And how are we going to come up with the date?
We'll get Lynn to ask all of us what dates are available. We'll put some dates out.
Okay, so we'll get those dates out this month, make a decision this month, but
Right.
it'll likely be next month.
Right. Is that fair, Lynn? She's great at doing that.
Well, I think in my mind, we were actually going to schedule it now, but if that's impractical.
The motion is to actually schedule.
Yeah, but I agree, that's what we did 4 months ago,
Oh, okay.
because nothing's happened.
So what do we need to do, Lynn, we're scheduling the meeting, and you're going to give us some dates in September.
Yeah, I mean, Lynn, if you could just commit this week to emailing us some possible dates, then we can get it done.
No actions. I will call the meeting, no actions needed, and we'll get dates for September. And we have to have at least 3 commissioners there. And I know people are going to start going on vacation, all of us. Okay, so with no action is required. We are now to the point of,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, you withdrawing your motion, Commissioner. Did you have a second? Yes. So are you comfortable withdrawing the motion and allowing the chairman to set the meeting, or 3 commissioners?
Yeah, as long as we schedule it in the next week or so, meaning set a date.
I'm with you. I agree with that. You remove your second.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay, so we are going to do that, and that's easy to handle. Right now, we're going to move to reports and announcements. County manager.
No
Paul?
report tonight, sir.
County attorney,
No report, Mr. Chairman.
District 1. Do you have any announcements?
Yes.
Go.
Lynn said I didn't, but I really do. I would encourage, on the heels of everything that's been discussed with regard to zoning, Gaza does some really great training. And when you're a commissioner, you don't get that training. And so I would encourage each commissioner, and I'd challenge you to please attend some of those events, because they'll teach you some things you don't know and make you understand things you really didn't think that you did. So I would highly encourage that. I had a zoning issue with the city, and I fought them and fought them and fought them, and I lost. And I said, if I can't beat them, I'll join them. And so I became part of the city zoning and had to go to all this training. And it really opened my eyes to what I thought I knew to what really is in practicality. So to Charles's point, there's so much out there that we don't know that you would benefit from by actually attending that training. So I challenge each of you to try to get that on your calendar. That's my report, sir.
Thank you. District 2?
I just want to briefly highlight an upcoming event that I'd encourage people to attend. So next Thursday, August 28th, 7 o'clock at Barrow 118 is the 2025 Putnam County Golden Eagle Award Dinner. This is the Scouts of America. If you don't know, we have 2 long-standing scout troops in Putnam County, and I know many of you would agree, being a scout can transform a young person's life. It's not just boys, it's girls as well. And this organization, this dinner, helps raise money for them to go out on excursions and just develop all the skills that embodies everything that scouting stands for. So if you're interested, you can go to centralgeorgiacouncil.org/Putnam County and read more about it, sign up, buy tickets, sponsor, etc. But next Thursday, Barrow 118, 7 o'clock. Thank you.
District 3? District 4? I have one announcement, and this should excite, but some people are going to be upset. Hopefully this is going out in but this is State Route 44 Quick Response Project is scheduled to begin Monday. Now, the Georgia Department of Transportation, the GDOT, has scheduled a quick response project to improve efficiency and safety on State Route Highway 44 near Lake Oconee. A right-hand passing lane will be installed on State Road 44 southbound at Clack Circle, and State Road 44 northbound near Lake Oconee Family Fitness, because these sections of State Road 44 are two-lane roads without turn lanes. Congestion occurs there now, and drivers attempt to pass and make left turns, and it sets drivers up to try to pass on the shoulders. A contractor will install additional pavement, striping in these locations to allow drivers to safely pass on the right. So be aware, if you're going north or south, we're going to have a backup out there on State Route 44. That's my announcement. I'll call for a motion to...
GDOT is going to speed up traffic by slowing down traffic?
That's the GDOT message. I won't attempt to interpret it.
It's gonna hurt first.
But I'll entertain a motion to, we don't need an executive session, so I'd like to ask someone to adjourn us.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a
Second.
motion on the floor to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote electronically. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. This meeting is adjourned.